Okay, so this is the official kickoff to season 2, and I don't even know why we started calling it season 2. I mean, we were legit only, I think, 15 episodes in. But what started to happen when we started to kind of pay attention to season 2 is we wanted to make a couple of changes going forward. One of those things that we wanted to change is the workspace here at Mad Cash's headquarters that we've been using was kind of an empty closet space. I don't even know, what would you call this room, Jonah?
Storage.
Yeah, like a big storage room. And so we wanted to come in. We got it done up right so it actually looks like a legitimate studio. We brought Jonah on halfway through season 1, and so we're kind of giving him a chance to catch up and start putting his own spin on things. So we delayed episodes for about 3 weeks, but we've still been filming. We've still been creating content. In addition to the new setup, we also got a new seat that we wanted to implement. I love having conversations with groups, and I love having that feeling that there's more than just 2 of us in here. And so for me, I wanted to add a special seat so that if Jonah was sitting there, if a friend wants to sit there, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing with this seat. But in the very first episode that we do here with Tyler Shenk, we actually brought in my best friend since I was like 13 or 14 years old, Kyle Jones, a.k.a. Cal, a.k.a. Caleb Van Dyke. And we go through where those nicknames came from. It was kind of a funny exchange, but it was fun having somebody in that seat to kind of keep the conversation going. So I would love to know who you guys would love to see sitting in that seat going forward on some of these episodes. We filmed with 4 or 5 different people now in there, from preferred lenders to friends to people that came with the guests. Like, we're having a lot of fun. We've had Jonah sit in a couple of times. Like, we've had fun trying to figure out who to put there. So yeah, love a little bit of feedback. As for this episode with Tyler Shenk, it was a lot of fun to get in here, get shooting in the new studio, and we come out of the gate pretty hot. We had Van Dyke read a couple of stats that kind of talk about how people in the public view real estate agents, and it's not pretty. And ultimately, that's the reason why we wanted to start this podcast, was so that we could highlight the agents that should be trusted and that should be thought about when you're getting ready to make a massive purchase. So we're super excited because Tyler fits that mold perfectly. Here we go, Tyler Shenk.
I got goals to chase, I got roads to pave. Not yet where I wanna be, but I got close today.
Dude, I am jealous of the operation here. This is
Dude,
sick.
it's been a long time in the making.
On these dreams like I didn't sleep today.
This is a good one. Realtors are overpaid clowns.
No matter how much I fight this, I'm holding tight like a vice grip.
Because I have harmony within business and life.
Only plus, I don't minus, I don't have time because I'm timeless. Yeah.
The goal for me is to help interview and show off and showcase who I think some of the top agents are in the state.
Dude, I am jealous of the operation here. This is
Dude,
sick. There's a lot of people
it's
here.
been a long time in the making. Like, it's been a lot of fun, and he's been along with for the entire ride. Like, he's watched everything, so it's a lot of fun to have him jumping in here, because I think that he understands me and he understands what the vision of all of this has been, and he also understands that we genuinely believe in the value that real estate agents can create in the process.
I love that, man.
Right, and so it's a lot of fun for us to do something like this that gives value for agents and gives value for people that we enjoy working with.
I love
right,
that.
so like super excited to have you here.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I'm actually going to interrupt and ask you a question.
Okay.
As a very first. 13-year-old friend, best friend.
13?
Is that what you said?
How old were we?
We met in computer technology class in high school,
So
sophomore
cool.
year. So that's 16 years old. Now we are
29, 30?
That's amazing. What was it like? When did you guys connect, or have you stayed connected and worked together for a long time, and just now done the podcast, or how has this relationship developed?
We
into
have
this?
been. So we started. We became. Well, we've always known each other. We played baseball growing up together. Then in high school, we became friends, playing solitaire in our computer class.
So when my wife gets mad, we still play Call of Duty almost every day together.
That's awesome.
Like, to this day, like
Yeah,
that.
so it's been.
I'm gonna have to add that to my
Very cool.
therapist notes, because I need to dig into why. Like, that's like a
I love
unifying
violence for some
factor.
reason.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I can't stop playing video games with this kid. My wife's sitting in here, so she's gonna hear that part. But yeah, so then we started working together. Our first job with Edge / my dad was actually moving furniture from model home to model home. This was like 2009, 2010. So we were 16, 17. We were dumb enough to like get dropped off in a neighborhood in front of a home. And this was at the time, right? Because nothing was really moving. But my dad realized that if we had staged units, people would buy them, right? This was townhomes in Highland. So kind of a higher end development, kind of a higher end area. And he was right. He called his shot and he was right. But what would happen about once every month, It was probably even a little bit more often. That was how they were moving units, though, is they would just move furniture from unit to unit to unit, staging it, showing it off, and showcasing it. And I think when there was more units on the market, you had to give one of them away to stand out, and that was probably it for him, right? So but somebody had to move it, and I'm talking heavy ass furniture, because this was just like extra stuff from their house. That they didn't have a furniture budget, right? So this was all just extra furniture that they had from their houses, and it was rich guy heavy. Like it was no, like it was not IKEA furniture. I think that's a good way. Like, is that you're gonna be kind of my PC police? Is that a good way to describe it?
That's a good way to describe it. That's fine.
Heavy refrigerators, and we're 15, 16 years old, and we were getting paid though. What? Do you remember how much we would make? Because
$50 a move
to split
and a box of pizza
and a Domino's pizza usually delivered whenever we made a phone call to my dad's assistant. Yeah. And then from there, that was kind of our first job. And then we both got promoted at different times to being the sign guys for Edge Homes. So we both did stints like actually out there in front of the yards, digging out the hangman signs that you would see. We would build the 4x4s because we didn't have the budget to do full marketing, because at that time we were selling 200 to 300 houses a year.
That's funny. That's amazing.
And then we kind of both worked our way up, and now we both are full-time sales agents and have been for, he's been 6 years, 7 years?
6 years.
And I'm like 6 months behind him.
That's dope. That's really cool. So you've earned your keep in Edge then. It wasn't just, here's a sales job. You were the freaking mover back in the day.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, like we moved the furniture out of their office the first time they moved offices, and they upgraded offices. So yeah, not only have like we earned our keep, but we earned our keep at like very unique times and getting to see very unique angles of the company before they were Edge Homes. Right. I can't call them Utah's. We are the best home builder in the state, I would say. I can't say Utah's number one home builder. That one's trademarked.
Which is a lie, by the way. Every time I drive by that sign,
I can't say that.
I can.
I'm just saying there's a trademark logo there for a reason, and it's not always because you are what you have trademarked. Right. For sure. Right, did I say that? PC police?
That's great.
We're good? Pass? Okay. It's going to be really nice having you in here. We had a first question that we kind of wanted to jump in and get your take on.
Cool. Let's do it.
So I was doing my continuing education. I have until July 1st, so I was doing it like 2 days ago, right? Like proper real estate agent timing here. Yep. Once I finally remembered my passwords and got logged in, it was a 3-hour code of ethics.
Brutal.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. This is now CE is a good thing. It's helpful. It's helpful.
There's a much better way it could be structured. Keep going.
That's fine. We don't need to get into application and how it doesn't relate to the job. Like, I think there's a lot of real estate agents. That's a great point. I think there's a lot of real estate agents that would welcome CE that it isn't always a value add, and a lot of times it feels like it's a run the time out of the clock situation.
Right. Sure.
But we came across this statistic. Do you still have it pulled up?
I've got it right
here. Okay. Trustworthy jobs, trustworthy professions. Have you seen this statistic?
I have not, no.
What would you say is of the utmost trustworthiness as far as professions? Most noble.
Most noble out of all professions?
Keep in mind, this is post-COVID-19, so there's going to be a couple that are maybe bumped towards the top.
I'm going to guess doctors, probably at the top.
Number one?
Well, number one, nurses. Okay. Number two, doctors.
Number two, doctors.
Cool. Yeah.
Right, we love our medical people here.
I see where
Number
this is
three?
going.
Does it say?
Pharmacists.
Pharmacists.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you seen on Hulu? What's that one? What's it called?
Yes.
Dope Sick?
Yep. I was obsessed with that one.
So y'all still trust your pharmacist after that? Go watch it if you haven't.
The whole system's jacked.
So then real estate agents go down the list a little ways.
I bet it was like one of the last.
What would you say is just least trustworthy than us? We're not the worst, but as far as like least trustworthy, less trustworthy than the real estate agent population.
I'm gonna go with cliche used car salesman.
Yep, car salesman came in where?
Well, second to last.
Second to last. There's
Realtors?
one. The realtors aren't last.
Okay,
yeah, car
okay.
salesman.
Dang. Okay. What's the last? Door to door guys.
Whoa! Shots fired. Okay, we'll bleep that part out. I'm just kidding.
Members of Congress.
Oh wow, that's insanely true.
Yeah.
But
So
brutal.
So we're better than those guys.
Wow.
But we came in the list where?
Fifth to last.
Fifth to last.
Ouch.
Our realtors.
Ouch.
Just barely beating out what? What was fourth?
Beating out lawyers.
So we're better than lawyers who also are able to facilitate real estate transactions.
That's hard.
But overall, there's a lot of disdain for our industry. right? Part of why we wanted to start the show, and we've ran through this quite a few times, and I want to continue to highlight it, and we're going to continue to highlight it. One of the reasons why we started this is because we want to show off the people that are doing it right, the people that are we believe in what real estate agents can do in the process. I've seen them work wonders. I've seen them help create massive amounts of value for buyers. And I think that it is still a very needed profession, but I think that too often we get stereotyped with the bottom 20% of the industry, right? So I want to know why you think, number one, people might believe that. And then number two, how you run your business to avoid that.
For sure. Great question. Honestly, I hate that I have to say this, but it doesn't surprise me. Because I've seen those agents and I've worked with those agents that statistic applies to. Not to be judgmental or rude, but just seeing how they structure a deal or structure fiduciary duties to their clients. Like, ooh, you shouldn't have said that. Or, ooh, that wasn't representing your person, you know?
Do you think it's ignorance more than anything?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a big issue in industry with part-time agents, quite frankly. Because, and this is probably a cliche answer, but it's like it's such a low barrier to entry.
Yeah,
so
we've talked about
license,
that.
Right. I've heard it so many times. Because it allows people to engage with the mindset in the industry with, oh, let's go make some easy money.
Yeah.
Which in turn is a selfish mindset. It's about you. It's about your pocketbook, your paycheck, right?
So where do you think that general vibe or that general feeling comes from? Why is that? Is it like people watching Selling Sunset saying, hey, this is going to be easy? Like, what would you say that is?
Doesn't help.
It doesn't, right?
I watched one episode. I was like, all right, real estate show, I'm intrigued. I like $1 Million Listing, right? I watched it. I was like, this is god awful.
This isn't it.
This is not about
yeah,
real
this
estate
isn't
whatsoever,
it.
right? So it's like,
what are some of the other ones that you like watching?
I like $1 Million Listing, Ryan Serhant.
Yeah.
Ryan Serhant's nice. I do like Ryan's content and what he's doing. Before I ask this next question that I'm dying to know, will you go live on TikTok for us? So just throw it up on that phone, make sure Bluetooth's on, and then you have a tripod right there that just opens up with your hand. Asking questions of real estate agents. You have like 10,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah,
I saw that. Good for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I
use it more, but
I've been shocked at like some of the numbers. So like keep pushing on it because it's a good space to do it.
It is.
So not necessarily when you were in your first year, but before, what were you doing? What were you selling stuff? Like what did life look like for you before you were licensed? You've been licensed how long now?
I think coming up on 7 years now.
So 7 years. So you in your 30? 29. So what were you doing at 22, 23, and then what?
Training.
And then why real estate? Okay.
Yeah, personal training.
Yeah, you used to do like bodybuilding stuff, right?
I was obsessed.
Okay.
Yeah. My ego was definitely trying to compensate for insecurity back in the day. So working out of the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, and actually became a personal trainer because that's what my passion was at the time.
Yeah.
You know, which was really cool to see, kind of reflecting back in life at this point. Because it's like, oh, I was doing the same thing, just a different industry. You know, taking care of people, supporting their goals, and helping them get from where they're at to where.
Set that down somewhere comfortable. You don't have to hold it. We don't both have to be in the shot.
I'm trying to get the shot.
Well, set it down somewhere that's realistic.
Just participate in this conversation, please.
We don't need to reveal our guest yet, but we're going to get his answer so that people feel like they want to go, I like that. Let's go with that.
Interesting.
We're going?
Okay, we're going.
All right. Yeah. So personal training, you found a love of like working with people, I'm guessing.
For sure.
Right. And adding value and creating that value for them and helping them maybe do something that they didn't think was possible.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. My favorite question, whether it was personal training or real estate, was what does this client want or what does this person want and how do I help them get there? What's the gap and how do we bridge that right now today? Or how do we start the process of bridging that gap, right?
Well, so why real estate then?
So I had done it before, personal training, for 1 year in Florida.
Selling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was an agent in Florida and learned how not to do real estate. I was with a mentor and team lead at the time who was just kind of the Hitler of real estate. Not in a negative way, that's a bad way to put it, but he was just so committed to his craft, and his craft was cold calling. Right?
Yeah.
So he had to show up in the office in Florida, super hot, humid place in this tiny ass little box of an office. We were mandatory dress code, shirt, tie, button down, boots, but we weren't leaving the office. We were just making calls all day, and he believed that if you look good, you'd sound better on the phone. Yeah. So I'm like, I can see that to an extent, but that's extreme.
Yeah, I can buy into it a little bit, but
bit.
I don't think that's what determines the phone call, right?
Right. It does help with confidence, but anyways. So long story short, I did that for about 8 months in Florida, just cold calling. Literally made, I don't know, my little story back in the day that my friend would tell us, like I made 360 calls in one day at one point because I was just so committed to trying to making it work, right? Long story short, hit a point, I was like, this is just not working. I'm not happy. It wasn't great leadership in hindsight. So I missed my family, missed my friends here in Utah, and decided it was time to move home. And didn't really have a plan of what I was going to do. Long story short, after processing life and thinking about what I want to do, fitness was my biggest passion. I got into personal training at that time. And then
Were you excited to get out of real estate?
Yeah, very, dude.
And if TikTok has any questions that they want to ask him about this, Van Dyke can kind of read them in a little bit. But kind of keep going down that. That's my question. Like, were you excited to get into it? Get out of it? Excuse me.
Super excited. 'Cause I burned myself out the way I was doing it at that point. Right. We were literally dialing for 12 hours a day, and any time you take a break, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Yeah, get back on the phone." I was like, "Dude, I'm a human being. Let me relax for a minute." You know.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first days doing that was with one of my best friends at the time, because we were both on the same team, and him and his dad kind of got me into it. It was like the first week of cold calling, actual cold calling. You don't know your scripts. You're brand new in the industry. You're so uncomfortable. These people are not nice on the phone.
Well, it's a very intrusive practice, right? And we're not trying to get into what works best and what doesn't. I have never had success, and it has been a very, very small portion of my business, if it ever is, right?
There's a right and a wrong way to do any aspect of the industry, right? And I'm not good at that kind of thing. I don't like sales, and that to me is too salesy for my personality. So anyways, we go to lunch, me and my buddy, and we're just sitting there at Subway, and we are so depressed, and we are so sad. We're like, what the hell are we doing?
This ain't it.
That was week 1. We did it for 8 months total, right? But anyways, so long story short, decided to pack up all my belongings, just very spontaneous. I was like, I'm done. This is not it. Let's go home. And that was a 6-day road trip by myself back to Utah, and it was one of the most fun times of my life, because I felt so free.
Yeah.
And just like choosing.
You were relieved to get out of doing that.
So happy, yeah. So I was like, that wasn't it, but I'm choosing it, whatever might be it, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, did personal training for, I think it was like 8 to 12 months, somewhere in that time frame. And actually had a client that was a personal training client at the time. She was in real estate. I can't mention any names here necessarily, but pretty successful agent. And she heard my story. I was like, look, come do real estate again. You did it the wrong way. Let me show you the right way, which was referral based and actually taking care of your people, you know. So I just was at a crossroads. And
yeah, what made you go into real estate from there?
I burned myself out of personal training.
Okay.
And it's so funny looking back. So I was getting ready, prepping for a bodybuilding show, and through that process, you're slowly killing yourself. It's not healthy, right?
So you were competing yourself at the same time as doing the personal training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. And it's just crazy.
What do you think it was about personal training that made you go that intense with it?
I kind of made a joke earlier, but insecurity. Severe insecurity with myself, so I was addicted to fitness because that was the one thing in my life I could control at the time and I actually saw results from. So naturally led into, okay, well, I like working out. Let's go help other people work out, right?
Well, and then I think the value that you were creating for your clients was real time saying, hey, this is what I'm doing to do this.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like it was, you were able to authentically give and just say, this is what's working for me, and people would want to listen to that, I'm guessing,
dude,
right?
Absolutely. And it's like, I had so much fun with my clients. Like we were laughing the entire workout, having fun. I do squat jumps with them when they were hating life, and just like I could connect with people on a real level in something that I love doing. And it's like, I got you. I know it hurts, but let's keep going. I'm right here with you.
Yeah.
You know? Which is cool because I can now kind of translate in a different way in my transaction with my clients. Where it's like, hey, the market's nuts. There's 37 offers on this house, but I've got you. Let's go. We're going to win this thing. And we do, you know. So kind of took a few segues there. But anyways, yes, I was competing with the bodybuilding show, super exhausted. Kind of right place at the right time at that point, where someone that ex team lead, I should say, invited me to go do real estate again, got me involved, got me intrigued with the mindset. I said, why not? Let's do it. Personal training's been great, but I'm working again 12-hour days. And I was like, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's only so much money you can make doing this, and I'm kind of burnt out once again, so let's stop burning myself out. So jumped ship and got my license again here in Utah and haven't looked back since.
So then in that very first year, what did it actually look like? Because you kind of have a unique perspective where you tried this twice, and I'm guessing in two very, very different ways.
Completely different.
Yeah, so how did that second way go, and how does that kind of direct or like push your business today? Because I'm guessing it was heavily influenced now, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So I literally grateful for that person to this day for showing me the different ways you can be in real estate successfully. Because it was and is much more focused around the person themselves and, not the sale, not cold calling until you find the person ready to sell. It's like, hey, who do I know and how can I take care of them, even if it's not related to real estate right now? Because real estate's such a cool industry. It's such a unique thing that if it's not today, it's going to be 6 months from now. If it's not today, it's going to be 5 years from now, but hopefully I'm the guy, So to give you a real world application, it looks like things like, random handwritten cards or random birthday present drop bys to their office, say, hey, happy birthday, I'm thinking of you. You weren't expecting this, right? Thank God for Facebook.
Were you taught this by this lady that brought you over? Was this, or did they just kind of give you the freedom to build your business how you wanted it to be done with a little instruction here and there?
A little bit of both, because I saw the initial things she did, which she's very heavily focused on, like client appreciation events, pop buys, dropping by people's homes and taking them gifts or whatever. To be fair, I learned how to do it, but also took it in my own way because I also saw how not to do it. Like she would take gifts to people, but then I'll like take pictures, like make them take pictures in the living room with her to post on Facebook. Like that's all.
It felt inauthentic,
you're
right?
in their home now. Like come on, right? So it's a little inauthentic, but that's what worked for her. So I've kind of just molded that in the same way. Like, hey, I'm gonna pop by and give you a gift. I'm gonna stand in your doorstep, say hi, and then I'll leave. I'm not gonna come in your house and take a picture with you. Right?
Yeah, because that's not the vibe for you.
For sure. Yeah, I want to make sure you have to feel taken care of authentically, or else I'm doing something wrong. And I feel like I'm a pretty sensitive person emotionally, and just kind of can sense people's vibes pretty well. And I can sense when it's like, this is BS, get out of the way. It's like, I cringe in that environment. So I don't want to facilitate that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So where do you then focus on creating the value for buyers? Like what is the actual process that you're going through look like? Is there anybody from do we have any TikTok questions from the back?
We do.
Okay. Speaking to the mic, please.
What? I got it.
Clean it up a little bit because there might be
the
some
first steps a young person can take to get into real estate investment.
Ooh, love that question. I love investing, dude. Real estate's such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Powerful tool. I would say define the niche of investing you want to do, because there's a lot of legs of real estate investing.
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to do residential long-term rentals? Are you going to do short-term rental properties? Are you going to do wholesaling? Are you going to do flip and hold, BRRRR method? There's so many different avenues. You got to kind of define what one you want to pursue, and then go balls out pursuing that.
Do you have a favorite right now?
I would say long-term holds myself, just because I've thought about doing Airbnb on a property I'm getting right now. Actually, but I'm like, it's so much work. And I don't want to deal with the headache of the turnover and systems. I'm just like, let's just create some cash flow and let it sit with a good family, Yeah,
and I think that this strategy is probably ideally targeted towards people that are starting at a younger age, right? Meaning where you have time on your side for property values to do whatever they're going to do. Really, you're not looking, if you get an extra $300 or $400 a month on cash flow, it's not changing your life, right? You're not looking to live on this income. This long-term hold strategy is a fantastic one. Yeah. Usually it's going to require the least amount down to get started, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're not worried about how long you're financing or what the amount that you're financing is. So there's some great options. Right. But like that's what my approach has been too. And it's allowed us to, I think we'll close on our 5th rental property this month.
That's awesome, man.
If our loan officer gets everything done.
Whoever it is, get on it.
First Colony awesome. Mortgage. Shout out.
Shouting you out, but get the deal done.
Shout out.
No, it's dope. To answer the question more directly, though, I would say buy your first home. Go buy your first primary residential home, live in it for a year or however long works for you, with the intent to live in it because you have to, right? But go pay 3.5% down, maybe 5% down to get in the house, and do a rinse and repeat model every 2-3 year, whatever.
And move up. And to kind of take that a little bit deeper, the way that the financing side of that works is that once you have a lease agreement on the place that on your very first one and you're getting ready to go move into your second one, owner occupied, it's called house hacking. When you go to make that second jump, they need a lease agreement for the for the lender just to say, hey, I'm renting my unit out. Here's my monthly payment. Here's my lease agreement. And that payment doesn't count against you. Right. It really is a unique way where people can go and pick up multiple properties with a 20% down payment.
And it's so powerful, dude. I'm literally helping someone close tomorrow on a new purchase in Daybreak. It's their second home. Helped them buy their first one 6 years ago. And they're doing this exact model. I estimated their property would rent out, according to other comps, just on rentler.com or whatever, for about $2,700 a month, which was like a healthy amount for what their mortgage is, right? It rented out for $3,200 a month from some family in New Jersey. So our market is so interesting right now.
Well, and especially too, because what pushes, and I got into this conversation with somebody from California, and they were asking what their market's going to do. And I think the shift that we're seeing is going to be very market specific. Yeah. Where I think in 2008, I'm sure that there was hot areas still moving units, but I think what happens now is going to be very market specific and market driven, right? If you had a ton of value, but you had a ton of people and a ton of need and a ton of demand issues that were pushing those values up, you're going to continue to probably not see a ton of price decreases.
For sure.
Right?
Dude, like people overcomplicate the market and everyone asks like, oh, is the market going to crash? Should I buy a house? Should I not? It's like, guys, keep it simple, simplify it. Where's the demand? Yep. Do people still want homes in Utah? Yeah, our economy is growing very rapidly. So human beings adapt. It's a natural part of our personality and just our animalistic brain, right? Yeah. We are forced to adapt because we want to be comfortable all the time. So if the interest rates shoot up to 8%, guess what? We're going to adapt to figure out how to make it work. Whether it looks like price reductions, I don't think it's going to be too heavy in our market, or it looks like interest rate buy downs to get the rates more comfortable space. Like there's creative moves and plays we can still do to adapt to make things comfortable despite what the market's doing.
Well, I think that the other thing that's super important to point out too, that rents always trail what purchases are, right? And nobody's been talking about what's been happening in the rental market at the same time that homes have been appreciating, but the rental market has also gone up. And so if everybody that is currently actively shopping for a house all of a sudden reduces, they still need a place to go because of the demand driving the main issue. Right. So if all of a sudden that demand goes from purchasing market to all of a sudden rental market, rental prices are not going to stay stagnant.
Oh, dude, the rental market's even crazier today as we speak than the purchase market. My personal philosophy on buying is we have not seen a better time to buy in the last 3 years in our market. And the last 3 years, as you know, have been freaking absurd.
Crazy.
Busiest Utah's ever seen in the history of Utah, right? So the reason being is like everyone's got fear right now because it's a change. It's a shift that we've been needing for a long time. But where there's change, there's opportunity. So if you're looking for that opportunity, you'll find it, right? So
I think that that's super important. And that's something that a lot of people, I think, put a priority on, and everybody stresses it a little bit differently. Everybody builds that trust just a little bit differently based on what I think their skill set is. And that's what I love about real estate is that it's so open-ended, right? Like you said, it's good to be, or it's easy to be good, which means that there's a lot of very authentic ways to be really good at real estate. And it's not one type. Okay. There might be one type that is more dominant and the personality is out there more, but there are a lot of successful real estate agents doing the exact opposite of whatever you see and having equal amounts of success.
Absolutely.
Right. So what does that look like for you? What does it look like for clients? What would you say that you do uniquely within the process that makes you great and good at what you do?
I would say I structure these touch points with my SOI, my sphere of people, in ways that get me excited. So it's excitement's authentically coming through.
What does that look like?
So we got a client appreciation event coming up in end of August. We're doing
which is a very common thing. Let's just say, like, sure. If you bare minimum to enter here, if your real estate agent isn't providing a client appreciation event for you of some sort, get a new realtor.
Right. So that's the thing. It's not the client appreciation event is nothing new. Like it's not unique to me by any means, but I get so excited about those because I get to see all my people. I get to give them big hugs. We take pictures, and that's exciting for me. So here in about a month, I'm going to start calling every single one of my people directly and saying, "Hey, Fred, so good to talk to you. How's life? How are the kids? Guess what? We have a client appreciation event coming up. We're going to Cowabunga Bay, renting out the whole place for you guys. Please come. I'd love to see it." And they're like, "Are you kidding me? Let's do it. Can't wait to see it." Right? And it's like I'm talking to a friend.
Yeah,
like, that's fun. Like, wait, this is work, I guess so, but doesn't feel like it, right? So it's one avenue. Again, gifts. Like I brought you a little gift today. It's just
I appreciate that.
Oh, of course,
that's the first.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, so like that, if that says a lot about that, I mean, just how Tyler approaches business.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. It's in a positive way. It's selfish because my love language is gift giving.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, that's how I want to let you know I appreciate this opportunity today, and it's good to see you. And here, I want to make sure you're taken care of. Here's what I like getting. Myself,
yeah.
Right? Just how we do. We
can we make sure we clip that, please? Because we're gonna shout that out that everybody needs to bring. Do you have any preferences as far as gifts?
No, I'm good.
Rolex. You like Rolexes?
Whoa. No preference?
No.
Okay.
That's funny.
We will play Call of Duty with you though. How about that?
Please invite guests, but you need to bring me a gift.
Yeah. I need an Xbox controller. I'm just gonna start bringing my wife's shopping list. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Jonah cut that part out. But like, what is that? So where does, because when you're bodybuilding and when you're teaching people how to do that, when somebody breaks, right, when they don't have as much, when they cheat the system and they have a cheat meal or they do something, right, there has to be a certain level of steering, and I think that this is something that has, okay.
Don't say steering.
Can't call it steering.
Real estate school, man. They didn't teach you one thing.
Back it up.
That's really funny.
We're not steering. PC.
Cut.
We're not saying steering. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a red line or no. Okay. Some realtor humor. Some realtor humor.
It's impressive you remember those terms.
Well, I've been reminded a couple. No, I'm just
Continuing
kidding.
education.
Yeah. No, I paid attention to the ethics, so that's why I know all that. What would you say though? Because the really good real estate agents, I would say, in the last 2 years got really good at coaching, got really good at like working through the reality and explaining to buyers what the market was doing, because it was a hyper aggressive market. I think that's a skill set that a lot of the top agents have. What does that look like for you? Because I'm guessing when somebody, like you have to be a realist, I think, to be a very good real estate agent.
Absolutely.
How did those conversations go with you?
Great question. So it starts with setting expectations. I like to set up buyer consultations, as I know a lot of good agents do. But you set up the consultation to meet face-to-face, in person. We're not going to do some BS phone call. We're not going to do it, hey, let's go see homes first, then talk to you later. It just gets too convoluted. So you meet, if you're serious about buying a home, you will come meet me at my office or a Starbucks near you, whatever works best. And let's talk about the market and set your expectations for what that looks like. I personally like to bring example offers with me of winning offers. It helped other clients, obviously scribble out names and personal information, but
it's real. That's real time data, right? That's like real time in the market. This is what's happening.
For sure. And it was kind of a cool timing for me at myself speaking, but I just bought another home myself, I don't know, 8 months ago or whatever it was. And I had to beat 35 people for that home. Like it was at the height of everything, quite frankly. Right. So and arguably
at the worst time to buy if we really are in that shifting market, right?
Well, that's what people think, but it's already up $100,000 from there, and I don't think we're going to see a decline, personally speaking. Even if we do, the payment's comfortable. It's a 2.675%.
And that's what nobody's talking about, is that I don't think we're going to have the foreclosures and the bankruptcies, because prices would have to go down, at least in our market, with what my personal average purchase price was last year, over 120 transactions. Right. That 550, which was my average last year, would have to drop to about 425 to 430 for the monthly payment to be the same as what people closed at 550, 560, 570 with a 3% interest rate.
For sure.
Right. And that's people are going to stay in their house. And even though their equity is gone, it's invisible money at times.
For sure. And it's like most people aren't tapping into their equity.
And so they don't have to, right?
Real money.
Yeah.
They don't have to. They should, though.
Yes,
Dude,
they absolutely should.
Cool tool to leverage, but we'll go into that later. But yeah, as long as the payment's comfortable, you should always have some sort of reserves. Don't freaking, spend everything you have just to get a house. Have some comfortable rainy day fund going, just to be sure. But if you do, and you're still employed, having cash flow income coming in, and you can afford that payment for 6 to 12 months, if you had no more money coming in, like, you'll be fine.
So you're advising people to buy right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm buying. I'm literally waiting for the clear to close today on another property for myself.
Good for you. Are you moving into it?
No, it's a commercial
Sweet
property. Yeah. I have a weird obsession with like commercial warehouses. So like, you remember Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buying one of those right now.
Okay, we're going to have to come by.
Oh, dude, that's why I want this in the corner of my own set. I'm like, dude, I'll have you over.
Let's help you out, for sure.
That'd be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun to collaborate on.
That'd be cool.
So if somebody wants to work with you or get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
801-833-2880.
We'll pop this up on the screen all nice. It'll look good.
Please. But yeah, I mean, obviously, anyway, my website's myhometeamre.com. Instagram, Facebook. Facebook's probably the best one, or just text me or call me anytime.
Okay, sweet. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. We had a lot of fun.
Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Kyle.